don't even know whose side I'm on.
Breaking news. The riots continue in the streets of Detroit. Protesters rallying outside of Seraph Industries, one of the world's leaders in the
Tell me,
controversy.
what's been the big challenge with Deus Ex Human Revolution for you?
Everything. No, it's yeah. Globally, it's been a pretty big challenge. Obviously, it's a huge license. It's a huge series. You know, the first one is considered to be one of the best games of all time. Maybe still considered the best PC game of all time. I think PC Gamer redid their top 100 best games of all time, and I think Deus Ex 1 was still number one. So, I mean, really, it was the biggest challenge globally for all the departments and all the directors was to make a game that retains pretty much the exact same essence as the first one. You know, everything that made it so great, but at the same time, to make it accessible for, you know, a lot more people for today's market. And, you know, big time for PC still, but for consoles as well. This is just a reality nowadays, but without dumbing it down and, you know, without making any compromises at the same time. So globally, that's been a really, really big challenge. Yeah.
If you want to make enemies, try to change something. The year is 2027. It's a time of great innovation and technological advancement.
As an art director, I mean, were you trying to recreate that Deus Ex style, or were you trying to just come up with something new using what's been known throughout cyberpunk? I mean, that same sort of feel.
Yeah, it's a bit of all that, really. I think the most important thing was to get cyberpunk right, you know, to begin with. You know, as our first slate to fill, it was to do that. So we kind of like, you know, read pretty much everything that's out there about cyberpunk, and you know, rewatch the movies and all that kind of stuff. And when it comes to games, there's actually not all that many cyberpunk games when you think about it. There's almost none, you know. So really getting the visual archetypes of cyberpunk, so stuff like, you know, the old versus the new, for example. Like cyberpunk is never 300 years in the future. It's always it's an anticipation of a near future. So it's like this clash between the old and like the really new, futuristic, almost kind of like not raising the old, but kind of like grafting itself over the old. Lots of smoke, lots of fog, you know, very contrasted lighting. Obviously cybernetics and all these things, right? So that's really what we decided to take out of the first Deus Ex, visually speaking, was to get the cyberpunk right. But then the second thing that we asked ourselves is, that's great, you know, we could just do this and almost literally just recreate the visuals of Blade Runner if you want, and this would have worked. But how original would that have been? You know, how much would that have said about the studio's capacity for creativity? You know what I mean? So we tried to bring a bit of our own into it, and that's when this whole concept of mixing cyberpunk with elements of the Renaissance era and the Baroque era and all that kind of stuff came in to try to generate our own kind of visual signature and our own essence, if you want. And we ended up coining the term cyber Renaissance. For the game, yeah. So you know, you got cyberpunk, you got steampunk, and now you got cyber renaissance.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
TM. No. But so that was the goal, and also because, like we just said, you know, there weren't really any cyberpunk games, and even like movies. The last cyberpunk movie is almost like The Matrix. Really, there hasn't been anything really since, stuff like that. So it's almost as if we wanted to bring it back, but in a new way. Say, you know, okay, this has been gone for a little while. Here it is again, but we're kind of like reinfusing a new flavor into it, if you want. So, as an art director, long answer to say that those are the main things we focus from the beginning, while keeping the essence of the essence.
They're like ghosts, always in the shadows, always hiding behind lies. Proxy soldiers. I need you to find them. They cannot stop us. They cannot.
The game was scheduled back in January, but yeah, I mean that's yeah. I'm sure you heard, and now it's scheduled for August. So with that time, What are you doing? What are you polishing up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like my job's finished. You know, my job's been done for a little while. I've been catering mostly to marketing lately. You know, making sure that the packaging's finished and all that kind of stuff for PS3, for Xbox, for PC, all the posters, whatever, the trailers, working on that. So all that to say that the graphics are finished, you know what I mean? The art direction is completed. Right now it's really because it's such a huge game, you know. It's a minimum of like 20, 25 hours. There's so many options, so many different things to do. These things need to get polished, debugged, you know, properly balanced, and it takes a lot of time, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Just making sure everything works out great and everything.
Just making sure it's going to be like the most polished, you know, perfectly balanced game possible for you guys out there. That's really, really what we're doing right now.
Now, with the game being such a, I mean, you said it yourself, considered what may be one of the best PC games of all time. How does it feel to have that kind of pressure on you, knowing that this is a literal lineage of the highest caliber PC game you could find? How is that around the office with knowing that's sort of looming over, that you gotta really fill some big shoes?
Yeah, you know what? We never really felt it as a negative pressure, honestly. We never said to ourselves, "Oh my God, how are we going to do this?" or, you know, "We'll never succeed," or whatever. It was more, it was actually more like of a positive thing, you know, like when you're given the opportunity to do a game like a Deus Ex, you know, it's like there's you know, it's not going to happen 5 times again in my career. Like, I'm pretty sure, you know, to do something that cool, especially when it takes 4 years to do it, right? So that would mean another 20 years, you know, or 25 years, or something like that. So anyway, point is, we knew that it was big. We knew that we had to make it good. We knew that, you know, people would be looking at us and, you know, making sure that it feels like like the first one and all that kind of stuff. This being said, though, we just did our best. You know, we always gave everything we had. I mean, we're a bunch of really, really passionate people, you know, about the medium itself, about the franchise itself, and you know, I think that's what we did, you know, from the moment that you just give everything that you have, you truly believe in yourself and into your product, you know, hopefully it'll be good because of that, and the pressure, we put our own pressure, you know what I mean? That's we're really good at that, actually, putting pressure on our shoulders, you know what I mean? So.